the auto sales volumes for now. And we have Bajaj Auto, which has ended FY18 in style, and the two-wheeler maker sees a 23% rise in overall sales in March. We have S Ravikumar, President of Business Development at Bajaj Auto, joining us on the phone line. And taking us through this conversation, we also have our own Yatin Mota, who tracks the counter very closely. Yatin, it's over to you.
Thanks for that, Agam. Sir, this is Yatin from the research team. First of all, congratulations for closing FY18 on a strong note. But talking specifically about, sir, the motorcycle sales, we have seen 11% growth. But if you look at the domestic sales, they were only at 5% in terms of the growth. So if you could break the numbers up for us as to how really did the domestic sales shape up for Bajaj Auto this time?
Yeah, in fact, Yatin and Agam, the 23% growth that was reported in March, which Agam talked about, in fact, that should have been even much better. One reason is the domestic motorcycles we have reported about 159,000 units. Actually, the retail is running ahead of the wholesale billing. The marriage markets have taken to Platina and CT very strongly, and I think we didn't do our math right, and we didn't anticipate the spike in demand for CT and Platina in the marriage markets in time, and our factories could not produce about 16,000 units of those SKUs which were demanded. Adjusted for this, actually, and just matching with the retail, our wholesale should have been in the region of 175 or so, 175,000 units. And if we take that as a base, if you look at the last quarter, that is Q4, Jan, Feb, March, as compared to Jan, Feb, March of last year, that is 2017, our growth rate has been about 20%. And going forwards, the marriage season is just about to begin, and we are well positioned in those markets. And based on the full portfolio and what we are doing on the ground in anticipation in these marriage markets, I think we are good to go for at least about 200K in domestic motorcycles.
Okay. Sir, talking about the export markets, of course, they look buoyant, but if you could take us to the performance of key markets like Nigeria, Egypt and Sri Lanka, how really did the sales shape up there?
If you see, again, talking about the monthly number, you have 131,000 units reported in the press release. You also have a note saying that 26,000 units which are in transit have been excluded from this number. Just to give you the correct sense around this number, in the last year, that is March 17, about 7,000 units of 2 and 3 wheelers were in transit. In fact, this 26,000 is unusually high. All these units have been dispatched from factories and are in the Bombay port. And for one reason or the other, we could not complete the necessary, the goods could not get loaded onto the deck and pass the mast and get the mate's receipt for the purpose of accounting. So the entire 26,000 units will spill into April. So that, even without adjusting that, we have returned a 18% growth in exports for the full year. That's a very good growth number, 1,662,000 units. And going forwards, I think we'll be able to return a similar growth rate in the current fiscal also. All the markets have done well. Africa, Nigeria has done extremely well. Major markets there have done very well. And smaller markets have chipped in very nicely. The Philippines and Myanmar and that region has also done very well. In the LATAM region, Colombia was a bit subdued because of economic reasons. And but I think it has hit the bottom. It'll stay there and pick up from there. we had a distributor change in Mexico and in Central America, so that again had impacted us. But coming closer to India, in Sri Lanka, the governmental actions against important because they are managing their foreign currencies and they are in a tough spot now. So there has been quite a steep fall in our traditional market in Sri Lanka. The entire market has collapsed. But all these losses have been very well made up. For example, Bangladesh has done extremely well in the last year. So all in all, we have returned this 18% type of a growth. And going forwards, we are hopeful of maintaining this type of a growth rate.
Okay. Sir, coming back to the domestic market, if you could tell us how really did the new Discover, shape up in terms of sales, and what is the kind of current order book that you are sitting as far as these new launches are concerned?
Yeah, the new Discover is taken to the 110cc is nicely positioned as a differentiated product in the lower end of the market. And the 125 is doing its job in its segment, and I think mainly in the lower end, CT, Platina, and Discover will try to go back to a 40% share in what we call as the M1 segment. In fact, this segment as a segment share in the total motorcycle industry has sort of come down last year. With our actions, we think we'll be able to grow this entry-level segment of motorcycles, and in that we will try to garner a 40% market share. And I think Discover is doing its job very nicely there, along with City and Platina.
Okay. And sir, your three-wheeler growth for the last few months has been robust. Of course, there were various state governments which issued new permits. Moving forward, in 2018, do you expect the momentum for the three-wheeler sales to continue?
The growth and the performance of three-wheelers in domestic has been extremely fantastic. And going forwards, similar type of numbers should continue for the next 3-4 months. And after that, maybe things will start sort of tethering off a bit. But we are having good news of some more states opening up the permits, and even some more states may follow the principle of doing away with permits as well. So I think all in all, for the full year, we hope to maintain a domestic billing rate of about 35,000 units a month.
Okay. And so one final question on price hikes, because we have seen the commodity prices impact the overall cost structure, be it steel or aluminum. The prices have been moving higher. Of course, they have come off a bit recently. But at Bajaj Auto, any kind of price hikes which are planned moving forward on key products?
I think we have again adjusted every time, once a quarter, almost every month. The reviews from finance department and costing department come in, and so we have been continuously adjusting, tweaking the prices, and we'll continue the policy of passing on the input cost increases to the market.
Thank you so much, sir, for taking out the time and speaking to Bloomberg Quint, and all the best for the coming months.